Hi folks, you were Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about an article I saw that, and one of a series of articles actually that I've seen recently about allegations of rape on college universities. It's something it's an old hoary chestnut that the feminist leftists like to pull out every now and again and beat straight white males over the head with them. And there's rapists everywhere. They're fascist Nazis, Hitler, and it's the same sort of nonsense. But if it is occurring as these activists claim, and certainly on the scale that they're claiming, which is enormous, it's monumental. If it is happening on that scale or happening at all, then it should be prosecuted under the laws, and the laws that exist are more than adequate to deal with. Rape is a crime, and quite reasonably so, and people that are convicted of it in a court of law, then they should be punished according to the laws, according to the codified laws. Not some hysterical ideology, but clearly codified laws. But so in this one university, college, they claim that 35% of the female students are raped annually. I mean, holy guacamole! This is whoa. Now, given that the college claims to have somewhere around or near 50,000 female students on the campus, then this means 17,000 or something of the girls there or young women there are raped every year. I mean, gee whiz, that's got to be the most dangerous place on planet Earth. There are third world countries, in civil war that don't have those sort of numbers. So we're talking probably the most dangerous place for a woman to be, not just in the United States but in the entire world. If they went to the most war-torn place in Africa where rape and tribal violence is rampant, they would be safer there than they are on this college campus in the United States. That's how dangerous it is. So just on the basis of looking at that alone, we'd have to say that maybe the people that are making these claims are being a little hysterical or maybe inventive or creative, or maybe they're using very unique definitions to come up with these sorts of numbers. Maybe they're just creating the numbers out of thin air to try and get some front page coverage in the news. Who knows? Now the college that is, I'd call it a left-leaning college, and it's the Gender Studies Department, which their academic body is heavily overrepresented by angry lesbians. They're the ones that came up with this number, and they were a bit cagey about how they arrived at the number. It was eventually found out that they just took some poll, so students could anonymously claim that they'd been raped, and one person, the same, just because it's online, one person could put in 100 claims that they'd been raped. It wasn't, so there was no follow-up, there's no verification, there was nothing to ensure that it was one vote and all this sort of thing. It was simply alleged claims, claims made without verification that alleged that they'd been raped without having to produce any evidence. So you'd hardly rely on that. But let's run with it. But the college hoped to investigate it themselves, so appoint another gender studies lesbian to do the investigation. But the particular state government decided that wasn't going to work, and they would put an independent committee together to investigate it, and that's fine. And okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But the independent thing, of course, scared the activists, because independent means Hitler. Only when you've got the angriest of the lesbians to investigate, only then do you know it's going to be accurate. I screaming ideological fanatics determined to prove that all straight white males are evil, fascist, racist. That when somebody is going to do that, that's what they call independent. Actual independence, such as facts and evidence, Nazis. That's it. Hitler's going out the back door there. Look, you can see it. So anyway, they put together this independent committee, which was, as I understand it, four women and one man. But the woman who was heading up this investigative committee was viewed to have non-left-wing sympathies. So again, Hitler, that's it. Only the angriest of the lesbians could have been picked. And so straight away, the committee is not made up of activists. It's actually made up of people that want to verify the facts and determine the truth and accurate situation. So, but that always scares leftists. They want ideological fanatics to be doing this sort of work, not people that are sensible, reasonable, and they're going to search for and check for facts. So the first thing that this committee realizes is that the claims are made by screaming radical activists. The claims that there are rapes everywhere are made by activists, so they can, already that tells you that you need to just work a little bit harder to verify the claims that are made. They also find out that there's been no checking on any sort of accuracy, no follow-up, no verification. So this claim of 35% is just pure myth. It's just pure fantasy. It has no basis in any fact or reality. So, but that to the activists, that doesn't matter, because they start from a position where all straight white men are evil, fascist, Nazi, fucking oppressors. We know that. They have social power. They're all Hitler. So we don't have to be accurate. We just know that they're evil. So anything we say about how bad they are should be accepted as fact because of their evil. So facts don't matter. This is ideological. So once they start to peel back the layers of this, then they find that this 35% figure is absolute pure myth and fantasy, and so they come down to they keep reducing the numbers. They come down to about 8 or 9%, I think it was, from 35%. And there are two or three things that the investigating committee notices. The first is, of course, nothing's verified, and so you can hardly rely on that. The second is the collation method was so sloppy that, again, one person could have made 100 claims of being raped. So, we don't know their individual claims or just a few activists alleging that they've been raped 100 times a day, just to boost the hysteria and the numbers around it. But importantly, they expanded the definition of what constituted rape. So if someone's allegedly called out to, a man allegedly called out to a young woman, hey babe or something, and whistles, then that was considered as a form of rape. So they created all these subsets of rape in the definition. So calling out to somebody, hey sexy, or I don't know, some calling out like that, then that was classified or could be classified as rape based on the definitions that they were using. So when they came down to actual verifiable claims of rape, they went from 35% to a quarter of 1%, and that was over 3 years, and that was a disputed, he said, she said, and then you look at the amount that actually go to trial, and then a 50% conviction rate there. So the reality is that you went from 35% to 1 in 1,000. So it was extremely rare. College college is about the safest place for a a young woman or young person to be, and rape certainly wasn't happening. Now there were things like, hey, but they have parties, they all get drunk. So there was another thing about the technicality of kids going to a college party, and wow, that's rare. That's all they seem to do, certainly based on my experience there. So they go out, they have college parties, they get drunk, and they get together, and they make out and all that sort of thing, and that's used as a technicality. So, well, she was drunk, so she can't give legal consent, therefore it's rape. So that there was, those sort of games. So, but the angry lesbians and the gender studies part were given the option. We'll prove it. If you believe that it's that bad, prove it. Give us the evidence. Here's the opportunity. Here's your big chance. Come forward with the evidence. But they couldn't. Everything was ideological. We just know straight white males are bad. And we know that they're evil. We know that women are oppressed. Therefore, rape must be happening because ideologically we say so. Evidence, we don't need it. And so that was there. So they couldn't do it, and they didn't really make any attempt. You look at some of the exchanges of letters and emails and so on. They just, well, you guys are just Nazis, so why do we have to prove anything to you, and this sort of thing. And it was very childish, and quite clearly it was false. It was an ideological thing that they were putting forward, and rape was simply a representation of the idea, their hysterical views of ideological social power. Young men and young women are getting together on university. One has social power, the other doesn't. Therefore, the one with the social power is raping. And again, very emotional, very hysterical, very ideological. But it just indicates or illustrates, certainly whenever you're dealing with leftists and their social power stuff, just how often and how much and how pointedly expressed is their view that social power and whiteness automatically equates to evil and oppression, and that seems to be their playbook in all situations. And it also, in their view, obviates the need for producing evidence or facts, so they don't. They just make these insane assertions. Now, most of the time, and rarely it's otherwise, the globalist media will run with these assertions, and will make vague things. 10 million women raped every day and so and then quietly said claimed by report from something. But it's touted as clear fact. There's no disputing it, and if you dispute it, you're a Nazi, maybe even Hitler. And so they get amplified out of all proportion. And you see interviews from left-wing, very left-wing sympathetic news shows and interviews in newspapers and the media generally. Very, very soft interview. At no stage is the people claiming that rape's everywhere. At no stage are they challenged on that. Well, you say that this many people are raped. What evidence do you actually have? What verifiable evidence that could stand up in a court of law? And when things like courts and evidence in many go, oh well, the courts are just Hitler runs all the courts, so we don't have to meet that standard because it's Hitler. It's a Hitler standard, so we don't have to meet that. So they excuse themselves from having to meet even the lowest of standards of proof, but they insist that convictions should be much higher. And just listening to one of these, again, the angry lesbian gender studies academic who's claiming that rape is rampant. Why is it the lesbians are so invested in claiming that rape is rampant? I don't get that. Now this is a woman, by the way, and I checked on some of her previous stuff. This is a woman who believes that consensual adult sexual relations is rape anyway, because he has to enter her, therefore it's rape, regardless of how consensual it is. And the only reason she's consenting is because she's being conditioned by Nazis to accept it as being so, when really it's actually rape and an expression of social power, and it should be treated as rape. So they come very much from this ideological position. Now, on the matter of false claims of rape, there's sort of, I guess, there's a number of categories saying that he raped me when it was, the regret sex. The morning after, you think, gee, did I? The girl thinks, gee, did I sleep with that guy? Whoa. And there's those sorts of things, the regret sex. Then there's situations where, again, I had too much to drink, and if I'd been sober, I probably wouldn't have got horizontal with that guy, but those things aren't in rape. But you can sort of get to the very technical level of rape. I know I had we had drinks and he did, and kind of, I don't know, I got I got a little bit worked up, and so we went off and made out, but I didn't kind of really consent because I'd had a few beers, and so I'm going to say it was technical rape, because you can get those sort of things, but they're coming down to the rape with violence, threat of violence, or where someone's being sort of detained against their will, that type of thing. Excuse me. That's those sort of situations are so rare as to be statistically irrelevant. Not that they shouldn't be prosecuted; they should. But so this idea of rape being rampant was just torn to pieces by this. And totally debunked by this investigation committee. But the leftists have never forgiven the committee for that, and so even on the president of the woman heading up the committee, even on she's I suppose a very minor celebrity these days, but she's even got a Wikipedia page which is carefully curated to make out that she's a damn Nazi and a fascist and so on, simply for not agreeing with the angry lesbians in the Gender Studies Department about the frequency of rape on college campus. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.